All right, here we go. Let's get started. Happy Saturday, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Minding Her Black Business, a brunch and build podcast. I am your host, Kyra Lee from Blvck Womxn Worldwide. And today we have the unique pleasure of having Mello on the call with us today, tuning in from Southern California. Welcome, Mello.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. We are so happy to have you here today. We have an amazing lineup in store for you guys. So we want to kick off to our favorite part of the introduction, our global footprint. Thank you so much, ladies, for tuning in from all over the world. We are up to 111 cities this week. So thank you so much for that. From the states, we've got Arizona, California, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Illinois, Kansas, Maryland, Michigan, Missouri, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. Thank you, ladies, for being excellent all over the states. In addition, we also have Canada, Nigeria. Thank you so much, Kenya, a new addition this week, the UAE, Brazil, South Africa, the UK, Barbados, and Ghana. So this global mission is growing every single week, and we just want to thank you guys for consistency, for spreading the word and getting our message out here. So again, for those tuning in, today's Know Her Name feature is Mello, our nominee for Entrepreneur of the Year. Welcome, Mello.
Thank you. Thank you. And I appreciate for that nomination.
Absolutely, girl. You've been out here killing it and your peers see the work. So we appreciate you.
Thank you.
So I was looking through the bio and I wanted to go back a bit. I did not know that you are actually a veteran by way of Navy.
Yes, I am. I joined in 2005, got out in 2010, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed
Okay.
the experience. For me, was pretty good.
What was your motivation for joining?
Well, I come from a military kind of family. My father was Air Force and Navy. It was something that he suggested that I do if I didn't want to go to a regular college. And then my best friend and I signed up for the military together and went in on the buddy system. So I had this like support, kind of like at the last minute because I already had college on my radar and I would in small scholarships to go.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to go the other route where, try something different and make life a journey.
So, as a Black woman, what did that experience feel like? What were some of the challenges? What were some takeaways, some lessons? What did that feel like for you?
Well, one, when I first joined, there were not many females in higher positions. So when you're going to what's called a chain of command, you know, your higher up is definitely going to be a male, and you know that you're going to face certain challenges and not really have someone fully understand any issues that you may be going through. If that comes about. And I want to say that that's the number one thing, and just finding people to relate to. I mean, there was quite a few women of color in my division, so you build your own small community. But when it comes to the outside world, it's like, okay, well, this is how it is. This is how the military really, really is. But it's changed so much over the years since I've gotten out. I think the Black women are getting more recognition for their work, and they're also getting placed in higher positions. And I want to say that I seen an article the other day where there was like a first, I don't know what branch it was, but she was like a chaplain, which is on the religious end, and they've never had a female at all. And then on top of that, she was of color, reached that position. So they're constantly elevating and getting to higher places. But like for me, it was definitely like lacking in that area.
What would you say your largest takeaway was? What did the military change about you as a person when it comes to life lessons?
Oh gosh, the biggest life lessons I've learned is to have an open mind. That's number one, because I'm going in there and there's people from all over the world, really. You know, there are people from different nationalities, different color, and they see the world from a different way. So I can't go into a space where, you're going to be outnumbered a lot of times, and a lot of times it's a lot more males. So I was on an aircraft carrier where they hold over 2,500 personnel. So, just being able to actually listen when you're engaging in conversations and not always shooting your opinion and this is law, like this is what I believe. I had to learn to be a little bit more flexible so I can understand, and that's how you really avoid a lot of conflicts, because just being in that space you can always run across the topics of sexuality, religion,
Yes.
finances, et cetera, and it can go way left within 5 seconds if you're sitting with someone of a totally different background than you. So
Yes.
it allowed me to be a lot more open-minded, and that goes with the traveling that came with it, and you got to see parts of the world. So I really do appreciate that, because that's really molded me to become who I am today.
I love it. I love it. And so from that experience, you have turned several businesses over since. You have your hands in a lot of different industries. I want to hear a bit more about that.
So Reason for Riot, I started in 2013. For me, I knew that it was going to be more of a project for me because I was already in the apparel industry. I went straight from the military to the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising here in LA.
Mhm.
And, you know, from there, I wanted to be able to balance both career and apparel. So I'm like, well, there's no other. I see myself being in the industry for a while, so I don't want to make that an excuse as the reason why I'm not going to start my own thing. So I did just that. It's been going for some years, and a lot of seasons were not really consistent. I was traveling for work and doing a lot of things. I worked in the college apparel business.
Okay.
So you can imagine being involved with college sports and sales reps and just being really hands-on with that. So since then, Reason for Riot really grew, and I wanted to always help others. So I turned that into like a service
Okay.
to help build up others. And the veteran business that I started after Reason for Riot, that I had mentioned in the bio, was to help veterans basically get what they deserve and help with mental health, because I realized, even being a veteran myself, you have to be in the right state of mind to do all of these things and to be able to give to yourself and also give to others.
Yes.
And be healthy during the process.
Inside of COVID, what are some tools that have come up through your work that people can use when it comes to mental health challenges just on a daily basis? This is a very different time, and mental health has come to the forefront. So you work hands-on in that industry.
So when it comes to mental health and COVID, I've learned that the year that this is what saved me throughout the whole time frame is balance. One is, of course, social media balance. The media has all these articles that pop up on your phone. If you have an Apple iPhone, it's right there in the morning. It's before you even get on Facebook. It's before you even get on Instagram. So I've learned to not reach for my phone in the morning, because I already know I'm going to be pissed off by something that I'm reading.
Facts.
And I've learned to control that space, limit it. And that allowed me to be able to get through my day, because I know it's going to be there still. And more platforms are going to talk about the same thing as, just oversaturating yourself with negativity.
Yeah.
So I slowed that down a lot, because it really started to slow me down. I found myself in a rage with all the things that was happening this year. And I'm like, if I'm going to be in the state of mind, I'm not going to be able to successfully finish my work, like finish my to-do list, or be able to help others, because I'm just that upset. I'm not available. Like mentally, I'm checked out. So that's one thing. And two, for mental health is, not forgetting to take care of yourself and do the things that you enjoy doing. My gosh, and even though it was hard to do that, so like say if you were that foodie that loved to go out and try new restaurants in different areas and you're not able to do so, what we ended up doing at home is like cooking those things, like looking up the recipes, making those brave runs to the store, because it was a mission in the beginning, going to the store. So just grabbing everything that we wanted, started cooking more in the house and turning that into a thing, because we knew that we were not going to be going to a restaurant anytime soon. Started reaching out to people more through Zoom. I was hosting little Zoom get-togethers with friends. I didn't care who showed up. I wanted to be on there. We doing Detroit ballroom, and we catching up with each other.
Let me find out.
Yes, we were catching up with each other and just finding ways, creative ways, and easy ways for people to get together and stay social. So that's what I feel like really kept mental health, like in the mental health department, keeping you like sane and healthy and going moving forward.
So managing our social media consumption is a big one. That's something I'm a big advocate of too. And then secondly, staying active in our interests is what I'm hearing. Love it.
Yes.
Tell me a bit about Reason for Riot, the name. Where did it come from?
Reason for Riot, gosh, I want to say back in 2013. This is kind of like when the Trayvon Martin situation happened. But I've always been a rebel. I mean, anybody that knows me, I always kind of took my own route, and whether it was crazy or not, I definitely, found out that there were more than one way to get from point A to point B. I'm that person that'll take you all the way around, and you'd be like, "Wow, I didn't even think about that." So, Reason for Riot, the name, it really made me look at myself. So, like for me, I'm a reason, to riot. I want to be able to do the things that I want to do in this world, regardless of what anyone says. So it's not so much going out and tagging cars and, the logo itself, nothing about the brand has graffiti in it or even shows that aggressiveness is very clean cut. So I wanted to be that person to be able to do all of these things in life and regardless of the standards that society has set. And I also wanted to show others that that was possible as well. And that's done through statement tees and basic graphics. So that's really what it is. It's about self-empowerment, and it's about turning those negatives into positives and being able to grow and move forward but do it together. Because I had this one graphic, it said power in numbers, and I think that was like 2016 maybe. Power in numbers, strength in numbers, and that's what I wanted to see people do, start working with each other and realizing that sometimes two brains are better than one. And it just across the board, it relates to us outside of everything that's happening this year. That's what it's not about. It's not just about that. So that's what I really wanted to highlight with the brand.
When you think about what has happened this year and the direction for your ventures, what would you say some of the moments that affected you most were? As a professional, what are the moments that you're reacting to when you're thinking about your logos, your designs, your message, your mission? What are the moments this year that impacted you most?
Oh gosh, I want to say what I'm putting on these T-shirts like during these times is important. Sometimes I'll overthink because I have to be careful. We have to think about who's running these media platforms. That you're trying to get the word out to, because that's like next to word of mouth is our other way of like getting things out. I really thought about the political statements and all of that during this time, because of course we want to push the vote, we wanted to push it early, but we also wanted to stand up for ourselves. So just knowing the fact that the T-shirts that I am designing may or may not get approved on Instagram, for boosting those posts or being put on a higher platform, to expand my reach, it was always a risky thing for me. And that's kind of like what made me, want to spread the line out a little bit more. Everything doesn't have to be statement piece. This is my classic graphic here. And it's something that can be promoted, but at the end of the day, it's like I had to be very careful, like with the whole political issue this year, along with the racism thing. It's always been a challenge, when designing.
For sure. Inside of the design space, inside of the apparel space, how does race and how does gender and how does sexuality come up? What do those experiences feel like as you're navigating and growing?
Repeat that one more time.
So for instance, every industry has a personality. My background prior to doing all of this was HR and marketing. And in those spaces, you tend to see a lot of Black women, but only one. And you tend to sit in rooms full of men. You tend to be the only decision maker that looks like you. And in the automotive space, you tend to be making decisions for a bunch of people that look like you. Mm-hmm. So in the apparel space, what does it feel like to be a woman? What does it feel like to be a Black woman when you're navigating those spaces and thinking about your messages? What comes up?
Gosh, what comes up? One, when people look at Reason for Riot, they honestly think I'm a guy already, like off rip. Even when I'm talking to manufacturers or people wanting to do business, if they don't see my name, if they don't see Lindsay on there, they think it's automatically a guy that runs this brand, because it's very aggressive. I actually got that this morning. Hey, sir, like, are you ready to work? Are you ready to get some designs out there? And I have to correct them every time, politely and respectfully. I am a female. So that's one thing, is just being looked at, is because the brand is has such a powerful message, that they think that it's ran by a guy. But when I do put it out there, it's like, wow, they're very surprised, and like kind of in awe that a woman would do something like this. I don't In this space, I feel like it's very fun and creative, and I love turning heads in that sense, because you would never think that. I don't really see too many females running brands like this. So if we want to talk about space, I feel like I'm sitting in this space alone, with this type of brand that has that type of name and is saying those types of things. That Armed and Dangerous t-shirt. I don't know if people were all about, just the dollar amount of selling that t-shirt. I'm selling the t-shirt, it wouldn't be that graphic, because that's a very like particular graphic, and you have to wear it out. Unless you're not wearing my stuff for pajama purposes, you're going outside. So you have to be such a bold person to, one, make it, but also wear it. So just in this space, it has been a challenge, but it's also been a fun journey. I know that there are other women, streetwear designers that are kind of like in their own lane, but I know in this one, I don't see anybody next to it.
I love that. I love the fact that your streetwear is your revolution. I love that.
It's like something you live and breathe every day. So it's not, I don't even want to call myself a designer. So that right there is also a lot of separation between me and a lot of others. I did go to the Fashion Institute, but I specifically chose not to major in fashion design for so many reasons. That's when like Project Runway was out and they were draping dresses. And then, you had RuPaul's Drag Race that was out. They were designing, they got their dresses and their looks and things. And it was all around that time. And I'm like, let's be for real. Like, and in the industry, this is what they're looking for. They're looking for someone who knows how to actually use like the computer programs or whatever and put this stuff together. They're going to look at you as a fashion designer, but they're going to require so many more things out of you if you go to a corporate, business. So for me, I went product development, taking things from concept to creation. So I knew that, I never wanted to be placed in a box with that. It's like whether I can make cat toys for all for all I know. It doesn't have to always be apparel with me. So, that's the route that I took.
If you had to put into words the importance of apparel, the importance of what we wear, because there's so much intentionality and marketing that goes into logo tees and streetwear. How influential is fashion on mindset right now?
It's very important. And I've learned that even more sitting in on a lot of retail summits, and especially with the Gen Z group, they really want to display what they believe in on their apparel. And it doesn't even have to be big words and all of that stuff. It can just be that small logo, but people know that small logo, so they will associate, with it. I feel like it is very heavy right now, where we are pretty much walking billboards. So I feel like what you wear is pretty much what you believe in, and I don't want to say that. I want to say that lightly, because I don't want to say that people that wear luxury brands want to be luxurious. I don't know, but some people really do wear things because it's cute. They don't care so much about the brand. But when it comes to where we are today and like what you believe in, I think fashion plays such a major role in displaying your beliefs in businesses and things that you believe in, that you support.
I agree. When it comes to being able to do both, to have a full-time job, a full-time brand, and a personal life, what tools are you using to balance all of
that? What is that?
Balance,
I honestly was just freestyling that. I didn't really have any tools. Like when it came to my career, my business, and my personal life, it was always a challenge, especially when I first got into the industry. I didn't really understand exactly what I was getting myself into. And it was all great things, but I never once sat down, took the responsibility and sat down to dissect everything that I was doing. I was just doing it. So In some cases, you can be reckless with that if you don't have a plan or, you know, a strategy. And for myself, something I put on the back burner every time. So whether it be, you know, my career, I'm not really putting forth as much energy and attention to certain details and things that I should. In my business, maybe I'm not, you know, meeting deadlines and things on time. And personal time is like the time spent and, you know, not really putting much effort in there. So it was very hard to juggle. I mean, people can do it, but when I first started up until maybe a few years ago, I had not mastered that. So the tools that I do have now is, you know, I don't want to say treat everything like a business, but my mind is trained to do so. My mind is trained to be off of this calendar. That calendar is going to be there every day regardless. So I'm learning to carve out the time for myself, you know, carve the time out for a significant other, carve the time out for business, and stick to it though. Because if you're someone that's just always on go, you will literally sit here on your laptop and just go until you feel like you can. It's going to be a tomorrow. And I've learned that no one is expecting you to really get all of this done, especially when you have 110% control over your own business and brand. I've learned that I'm creating that pressure and those crazy deadlines that don't really have to be. Like no one knows that you're doing all of these things but you. So allowing myself to take away that level of stress and anxiety and be able to sit down and, you know, kind of level things out has helped a lot.
I love it. What are some things that folks would not know about? You might be surprised to find out about Mello and Lindsay the person.
Man, yeah. Well, one was the Navy because I don't really spend a lot of time on that subject. You know, when I talk to people, especially people that are on social media, you know, it's kind of just straight to business with me, or I would refer to you from someone, so I need some t-shirts printed, or, you know, I need a website done, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of people would not know that I used to play the violin as a kid. I played the violin, I played the flute, I tried to play the trumpet, very much into instruments, but never dove deep into being in band in high school. So a lot of people that I went to high school with probably never knew that about me. Um, Also, student athlete. One thing that I never really talk about either is like, you look at me now, you probably can't tell that I played basketball, but
I can definitely tell you play basketball. You're talking to a
basketball,
hooper. I can see it.
basketball and volleyball,
Okay.
so things like that. And also that I like some country music and some old rock, you know, like 80s, 90s rock. I'm so deep into music. So that's actually my number one thing because I don't come out with playlists. I don't really share a lot of these things, but I've moved around so much in my lifetime, like Michigan and Kentucky. This is all like before you know, in my younger years. So I spent a lot of time in the South, and my dad is from the South. So like I really had some heavy roots there and learned to love and like appreciate the music.
If someone was to try and follow in your footsteps, to turn that path towards starting a streetwear line or their own business, period, what would be some advice that you would give
What I would tell them is, you know, first off, put the clothing aside. Like put the designing aside, put the pressures of getting the logo made and the website and all of those things aside because it's not important. All of those things can be filled in later. What you should do is pretty much sit down and write down your why because I've learned that it's not so much about people caring about what you're creating. They want to know why you're creating it, you know, especially with that Gen Z generation. The younger they are, the more they seem to care about these things. And I think it's great. Um, you know, they want to understand why these brands were made, who's behind it, kind of see that life story. And I know that some people are not like open to sharing those things, but just being able to connect and be able to speak about it as if it's rolling off of your tongue and it is you. So figure out the meaning, figure out structure before you start thinking about decorating it, so to speak.
in terms of your current goals for yourself, for your business? What are some milestones that you're looking forward to achieve?
Well, right now, I'm really, really looking to be involved more. Gosh, like with more events, more platforms like this one. I was really excited to be considered to be on here, as well as, you know, more pop-up shop events, more community-based events. So that's actually my number one goal. It's not so much just expanding the line. That the line is going to do its thing. Reason for Riot is going to do its thing. One thing I can say, I do have a shop location down here in Long Beach where I just got in there a couple of months ago, and I'm looking to have some events down there, and maybe some like art walk type of events with some food and stuff involved. So that's kind of like on a grander scale when things open back up. I just wanted to throw that out there. But right now, it's just more so connecting with other creatives even further and planning out any way that we can create together. It doesn't always have to be apparel. Like say if you were a writer, I'm not gonna say let's make a book together, but it's some way I can find a way to connect it. I always somehow find a way to connect things, and I think that's what people love about me when they do work with me. But just keeping the reason for Riot, aesthetic and vision out there would be to just go strictly project based.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I think that there's some opportunity for alignment in the future. We'll talk offline about that. But when you started mentioning art, when you started mentioning creative community, that's one of our favorite things. So we'll talk more about that in a minute. But I wanted to circle back. You used the word to describe yourself earlier as a rebel. Why did you mention that you're a rebel? In what way?
Because I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about a lot. I'm not gonna say about a lot of things, but it's just, and I say that in a light way, but very just straightforward. Yeah. Very strong about who I am as a person and things that I believe in and how I feel about others. When you know yourself, the world changes for you once you figure out the things that you want in life and you stick to those things. A lot of people have a huge problem in that area, but once you do that, it trickles down into your business, into your personal relationships, intimate relationships, things of that nature. So for me, it's just more so being appreciative of who I am as a person and knowing that I do not allow outside things to get in the way of my growth, who I am, my business, my relationships with clients, anything that I have going on. It's very close knit.
I love it. I absolutely love unapologetic, and I absolutely love the comment about, we've talked about this a lot. I was actually out with some girlfriends yesterday, and we were talking about the importance of getting to know yourself, taking that journey and making sure that you complete it before you start off on these transitions, these projects, because it's impossible to complete anything until you know who you are.
Yeah, because you can start on anything. You can start on a drawing. Some people can draw freely or whatever, but and you can start thinking about the concept later, but then you're gonna have to go circle back. A lot of the times. Even when it comes to me picking colors for Reason for Riot, t-shirts or graphic choices, it's just like, I have to think this through and be solid on that and then go forward because I'm going to end up doing double the work anyway. Yes. And let's reduce that because we don't want to overwork ourselves.
Absolutely.
In that area.
How old would you say you were when you found out who Lindsay and Mello were?
It was not that long ago. Mm-hmm. It had to be like maybe, gosh, I really want to say I didn't really know until I hit like 30, 31. I was like really, I felt like I knew who I was. I've always been that unapologetic person, that cool, laid back person, but it's like, what world am I really living in? Am I living in someone else's world? Am I living in other people's world, or am I living in mine? So, I've always kind of been in my own lane, doing my own thing, but at the end of the day, I had to really get down to the nitty gritty about who I was and why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. And once that was understood, it's just like clear as day. Like, okay, makes sense now. And once you start moving with that knowledge, it's, life gets a little bit easier. We're still going to be going through, these obstacle courses in life, regardless of whatever's thrown our way. But once you're sure of who you are and who you want to be in this world, it makes a lot of sense and it makes it easier for you to live.
Totally agree. One of my favorite things is all the girls that talk too much and all the girls that had bad attitudes and all the girls that had all this attitude, period, are the ones running their own companies now. And for those of you guys listening in, I think it's important that we start normalizing that. All these little Black girls that have all of this personality, they just know themselves already. Make
Hmm.
that okay.
Yep, that's very true. And we should start normalizing that. I do believe in that.
So if a person wanted to work with you, what are some approaches that you prefer? How does a person begin to align and collaborate with you, Mel?
Well, honestly, I love when someone comes to me straightforward, like with an idea. I mean, even if it might come off aggressive, like getting straight to it. I'm not one of those like, who is this? Like, I expect people to reach out with an idea or reach out with a want or a need for them or themselves or their business. But I just don't like the small talk. One thing I don't like is the small talk. I don't really talk on the phone that much for free anymore. Even when it comes to like small consultations, I'm not up there, doing that because I don't make that my main service. But if you want to spend that type of phone time and really break down your business and or anything that you may need, I'd rather do it that way. But the small talk that kind of leads into a free consultation does not work well with me. I'm pretty yeah, I pretty much nip that in the bud really quick. But to come to me is like really to have an idea of what you want to do. I really appreciate those that kind of come a little bit prepared.
Mhm.
I'm hoping that you do have an idea of what direction you want to move in because that helps me be able to help you if I can even help you. That's the thing. I don't even know if I can help you. So if I can't help you, I know a lot of other people that probably can. Yeah.
It's really important for you guys that are tuning in. I ask these questions when we have access to these excellent women because preparation has a lot to do with how that introduction goes. It's so important to know who you're talking to and what they need from you to be able to be of assistance. So thank you so much for bringing up that word prepared. It's very, very important.
Yes.
In terms of our current climate, I do want to get into this just a bit, and you can speak as freely as you like. This is the safest space on earth. We've got a major election coming up, and we've got a lot of issues on the table. Which, and it can be several, but what are your hopes post November 3rd? What direction would you like to see us as Black women and us as a country
First off, I got a tea to show y'all.
moving? Okay,
So, and this was done by a very good friend and client of mine. But it's these Vote Like a Black Woman teas.
love it.
Yeah, from Like That Productions. I can probably type in a link a little bit, but one,
I love that. That's hot.
I would hope that people, kind of put the whole political party thing to the side. And I really said something about that on Facebook, and I try not to go on my rants. I really try not to. But one thing I can say is not even about the parties right now. It's about who is fit to run this country. I was like me coming from the military. I have served under Bush. I served under Obama. Been in actual war during that time, 2008, 9. I'm gonna say 8. Yeah. So setting that all aside and thinking about humans, thinking about the world, thinking about climate change, thinking about education, like who is going to be fit to do that. So I think that it's important for people that are voting to know and understand that we need someone in office that's fit to do that, but also learning more about our local the people that are in power in our local areas. And I think it really starts there. We need to know who our mayors are, who does all of these things. And 9 times out of 10, they have a mailing list and send out emails. And a lot of people don't know, but I do get one here for Long Beach and like the city of Inglewood because I still live in Inglewood as well. Being in the know and understanding what it is that is happening in the world, and then make your decisions based off of that. But I'm hoping that people do that and they do that unapologetically.
I love that. And I definitely agree. I think that we spend a lot of time talking about the presidency, which is important,
Yep.
but this is not just a presidential election year. And we have so many people that are in a position to affect us locally. And I definitely want to stress the importance of knowing who these folks are because they are going to be with us for years. And it's important that we get folks that care about the important things, whatever that happens to be. But we definitely hope that you are taking the time, if you're listening in, to get to know your local officials. It's really, really important. If you have free time at all, rather than spending time on Facebook and Instagram, as much as that's great.
Mhm.
Spend a little time on Google looking these folks up because it matters. And it only takes a second. They're right there. If you have an Apple phone, I'm finding out that you have predictive, search engines where if you look up one thing, the rest of it just starts popping up in these little ads and you're all down the wormhole. And I like that type of information. So definitely want us to be informed about our local officials.
I feel like they texted us enough, don't you think? Like this year was the year. I
It
mean, how
was.
much money did y'all put into that? Because I mean, I'm getting texts every day, getting emails. Somebody they left a voicemail on my phone yesterday. Like this lady in this area, but it was like a skit though. It wasn't like, oh, this is so and so from whatever party, we want you to vote, whatever. It was like two people talking. I'm like, well, it got creative. So I mean, this year, I feel like they want you to know more about the local officials more than ever before, and they've given you the resources that you need. All the mail that we're getting every day is for a reason. It's like because people didn't understand which way to vote on the yes or no. Like we don't know what no means. Is it going to hurt it? Like when you say no, you really could be saying yes,
Mm-hmm.
and it gets really confusing. So you have to look into that type of stuff.
That's very true. California has a lot of propositions that are up this year that are extremely important if you are a Black woman or a Black person. There is a proposition on the ballot for our California folks that will allow a committee to be established to start researching how to roll out reparations. So if you're not aware of that, yes, it is huge. It is absolutely huge. There's an organization called My Black Counts. I would encourage everyone listening to go ahead and check them out. But they are breaking down the voting guide for what is coming up, not just people, but also the propositions and what that looks like from a Black perspective. Not telling you which way to go, but giving you information on what the pros and cons to each answer are. So I think that's huge.
It is huge because, like I said, it's just so many props, especially out here. And I've seen people, standing on the corner or trying to get signatures and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's like, where could I possibly go to get all of these things in one place? It's like you have this whole stack of mail now that you have to look through. And before we were not really doing mail-in ballots. So I don't know how people were voting on these props and remembering all of those things unless you can bring all of this material in there with you. I'm not sure, but I know that nowadays they make you aware, and I'm very happy that they decided to go that route because everybody's vote counts.
My older folks, my mentors, older aunts and grandmothers and things of that nature would have their main item down, and that way they weren't confused or straight, and they would bring it into the voting booth with them. So whatever notes you need to take, because those yeses and nos can be confusing, the way that it's written, the language. So if you all are voting in person, I would definitely recommend writing down after doing your research so you know exactly what you're doing and nothing confuses you last minute, for sure. This is going to be a very, very different election with all the mail-in ballots. It's going to be very, very different.
Very different. And I'm actually going to review a lot of my stuff today, tomorrow, to make that vote.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. In terms of next steps, when you are looking at the veteran side, the mental health piece, where would you like to see that part of your efforts go? What would next steps for that project be?
Well, ideally, I would like to travel with that. I wanted to start here in LA with local veterans and, of course, people of my age, because, we have a thing about that and being considered to be a veteran, but being so young, they don't always take our health needs as serious as the elder, veteran. And I guess I get it, I get it because their needs and stuff. But at the end of the day, there's so many people who have experienced trauma and whether it be within their own division, wherever they were stationed, or it could have been like during war. And I feel like they have to be considered just like everyone else. So I would want to reach out to veterans like myself and also hold these types of calls where I have veteran friends that I serve with speak on, where they are with mental health and benefits and things like that. But on a grander scale, yes, I would love to connect with other organizations in other states and have, maybe rent out a room at, what do you call it, those conference rooms at the hotels and really speak on that scale. That would be ideal. But next steps is right now, mental health is really, really, really on the rise. Like a lot of therapists and psychologists are getting booked left and right. They know what time it is. For me, I'm more focused on Reason for Riot right now, but circling back around to VPS, I'll definitely be bringing in more clients and helping them on their path to getting benefits and mental health resources that they need. But I do want to mention that I have like created my own network of Black psychologists and therapists across the nation. I'm still searching for those. They've helped a lot with my startup. I mean, that was like in March when I launched it, but the idea was like last November. So, like during this time, I knew that I had the time to build. So, just knowing that there are now going to be more therapists and psychologists in different states able to virtually help my clients and provide them with the help that they need while being seen and heard is outstanding. So that's a lot of changes and things that I've done. I've actually mixed it up a bit and made sure that I included that to help our veterans of color.
If you could, I would love for you to send us whatever link to the information you have so we can post it on our website and tell people how to contact you. That's a wonderful resource. That's amazing.
Yes. And I've heard so many times, believe it or not, like my first 4 or 5 clients were Black men. Okay. They were Black men. And, the issues were going into a space where they were already told how they're supposed to feel.
Yes.
And that, oh, well, it couldn't have been that bad. That was a long time ago, wasn't it? Like the war, their trauma situation. So what normally happens is that their issues, their claims that they put in with the VA get drawn out. A lot of setbacks for them. So when that happens and you feel like there's no help where you feel like there should be, they seek a third party to help them out, whether it be a law firm, whether it be, someone who specializes in that area like myself. We will definitely help you get seen, somebody else and provide that medical evidence that's needed in order for your claim to go through. Because you can't sit here and tell me that I don't have issues. You can't tell me that my back doesn't hurt. You don't live in my body. You don't live in my mind. So I think that's a huge thing for me to fight for. And that's on my list of, to continue to do that, of course. But I just wanted to throw that out there because it was very interesting to see that. I have a lot of female friends, but these are guys that's like, I'm stuck here. I need help. And that really hit me, in the heart early on. That made me want to definitely move forward, but make sure that I was strategically doing that, especially during COVID.
I love that. We have got to normalize listening to folks. It's loud when a person says that they need help. I won't say especially men, but I will say we need to hear our men. We need to hear our men when they're hurting, when they're saying that they're having issues, absolutely. And same thing for women.
Yep. Oh yeah, speaking of women, gosh, the military, sexual trauma.
Yes.
That's actually another thing on my list as far as campaigning goes. All of the stuff that's happened in the media over deaths with females on bases, but also all of the women before that. Mm-hmm. So many more before that. Cases where women were not even being considered because their higher ups are men. And I just was talking about that earlier. Their higher ups are men that are protecting their peers, and especially if they're of the same rank, because they have a lot more to lose up here than this little female who just got in. It's her second year, and she was just drunk, like that type of situation. Clear the, the air needs to be cleared on that. The military has not had its Me Too movement yet. And I feel like they will, but it's very hard. It's going to be a real strong fight in there. And they were close. They were close with all the media, but they know how to manipulate and be able to keep certain things under wraps. But I don't feel like no one should be protected. I feel like if something happened to a woman of color, a woman, period, okay, because it's not even about a race thing. It's always been about a gender thing as well. They need to be fought for.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And that would be another effort. Please keep us posted on that because that is very, very close to home. We have a country that is is newly identifying how to be there for women during violence, whether it's sexual violence, whether it's physical violence, mental violence. We are just now figuring out what consent sounds like. We are just now talking about the levels of trauma that have always been there. So while I'm grateful for the Black woman that started Me Too, while I'm grateful for the names that came forward, we have a lot of work to do. We have
Yes,
a whole lot of work to
a lot of work, and I think now that that's been normalized, you know, to where we can sit and talk about it without looking crazy, without looking like we're going after somebody, or it's always something personal with someone else. Like, why can't we just sit and fight for ourselves and fight for others who this same thing happened to? So, I really appreciate it. I really appreciated those organizations for stepping out and doing that, because they did pave the way for this to be okay to do so. I'm not active duty anymore. I don't. Back to the beginning of what I said, I don't care about all of that. So I would love to be one of the ones in the forefront to help fight for those who, one, deserve those benefits that they are going in to claim, and also be able to provide them with the resources to seek help, because that trauma, it is definitely something serious, and to have it maintained is going to be key in order for them to live the quality of life that they want to live.
And say the name of that business for me one more time, please. VPS.
Veteran Psych Solutions.
Love it.
AKA VPS.
You are phenomenal, and I can't thank you enough for taking up space in both of these lanes. The marketing, the apparel piece to get the words and concepts and ideas out there front and center. And then also all the work behind the scenes, making advocacy a way of life for women, for veterans, for Black folk, people of color, like absolutely phenomenal. And I just applaud you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
When we have these calls, they are always circling around our mission. Blvck Womxn Worldwide is a charitable nonprofit, and we were established for the education, advancement, mentorship, wellness, and financial success of Black women in every walk of life. We do recognize COVID-19 as the largest disruptor to the status quo in our lifetime. And during this 2020 global pandemic, a team of brilliant Black women analyzed the existing realities of millions of Black women across the globe. And what we found, just like Mello is saying today, is that our pain and our frustration is not isolated. So using a global lens, we seek to develop the technology necessary to make protecting and supporting all Black women in our venture sustainable. We use a four-prong approach: tech work to create the first global database of this kind. We connect individual Black women and their children with solutions powered by Black women using your mobile phone. We break barriers for Black women-owned brands and businesses through education, capacity building, community, and connections like today. And finally, we build bridges that repurpose the $1 trillion annual Black spend for the personal and professional development of Black women everywhere. So as you're listening in, we always close each podcast with 3 asks. The first is that we want you all to get involved. This is a major set of weeks coming up. These next 3 weeks are game changing, and whatever your revolution looks like, get active, please. Secondly, we ask you to seek and connect with Black women on purpose. Be intentional about finding a sister and supporting her business, her idea, her goal, her personal development, whatever that looks like. Find the Black girl at the bank, find the Black girl in the street, find the Black girl at work, and say hello, please. And finally, tell our story. Let folks know that Blvck Womxn Worldwide is available as a resource to connect Black women all over the world that are doing amazing things, just like Mello. And if you have a need, please hit us up. Our website is www.blvckwomxnworldwide.org. Register if you are a Black woman, become a part of this sisterhood, and connect, please. And of course, we always accept donations to keep this mission going. But I thank you all so much for an amazing episode. Mello, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate being here. Any way where I can sit down and talk my shit, I'm good.
I love
and I really do. I do want to say that what you guys got going on is really, really important. It's important, and we need this. So I tip my hat off to you, and I look forward to helping you promote this, get it out there, and also possibly working with you in the future.
It's a definite. We will be seeing each other soon, and I really, really appreciate that. Thank you for that. And thank you to all of our ladies that joined on the call today. I appreciate you. Thank you for your time. We will be back at it next Saturday, same time, same place. Tell a friend, and we'll see you soon. Welcome home, sis. Take care, ladies.